Join me over coffee as we delve into topics that affect our everyday lives. Today I'm in conversation with Nancy Brown of the Inglis Falls Arboretum Alliance, and our conversation is going to focus around being stewards of the land and why that is so important, particularly as we go forward with so many issues around our communities, planting more trees and investing in native plants. So welcome, Nancy, and it's always a pleasure to see you.
Well, it's wonderful to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, we connect on a social level too, so this is lovely. And the Arboretum Alliance has always been a connection between the two of us.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about that as well. So one of the things that we wanted to explore is why the Arboretum Alliances are so important in our communities. And what do they do? I know what they do, but you're going to tell us.
Yes, well, that's actually a good place to start because not everyone knows about the wonderful little jewel we have just south of Owen Sound, which the Arboretum. It's associated with the Grey Sauble Conservation Authority and the Administration Office, just south of Owen Sound on Inglis Falls Road, just downriver from our famous Inglis Falls. And this little Arboretum, it was first started over 60 years ago, actually, but recently, in the last 20 years, we've had an expansion which includes an entire collection of native trees which we've added to the Arboretum. And so basically the Arboretum Alliance is a volunteer committee of the Grey Sauble Conservation Authority, and we are mandated with planning and planting and maintaining the Arboretum. And I think you asked me about, being stewards of the land and the Arboretum. First of all, the definition of an Arboretum is that it is generally a collection of trees for the purpose of display, research, and education. And so now you know our entire mandate in a nutshell. And so we are stewards of that piece of land, but a large part of it is educating others to become stewards of the land where they live or where they like to play and hike and in our neck of the woods, I guess you might say.
Well, I think that is really important, and this is where my husband disappears every Tuesday morning. And he's coming back all dirty because he's been planting trees, or the education part where the grade 3s and the tree planting, which is really important actually to get children that young to understand how important it is to plant trees and what trees do in terms of our environment and how we need trees in order for our air to be clean, and for our survival. But at the same time, there's a lot of emphasis now, or to my understanding, planting native plants in our gardens.
Right. So that's part of the education that we promote. You've touched on a couple of the areas, educating the young people, and can you believe it? We've now been planting trees at the Arboretum. It's over 20 years that we've had groups of students between grade 3 and grade 5 come to the Arboretum every spring and plant trees. In fact, that whole section, 21 acres, has been planted mostly by the children. I hope that's not construed as child labor because they love what they do. They love getting out and being down on their hands and knees in the soil and planting trees for us. And it's so wonderful when they have the opportunity to come back and see their trees that have grown in those 20 years. So we've got the children component going on, educating them. And you know what I find? When we have the children out is that they actually understand. They are being taught in the school system how important it is to plant trees. And so that's really encouraging when the young people, we ask them questions about the importance of trees and why we're planting trees, and they get it. Sometimes I think it's those of us, a little older who have forgotten the importance of planting trees, because we grew up in the industrialization period of time when everything was, better. The more mechanical it was, the better it was. Where now the children are being taught that it's, we've neglected the planet and it's time to get back to that. So just to bring it back to then, you asked about the importance of native trees. And native trees, and I tell you, we don't know what we don't know, and I didn't know 30, 40 years ago when we were first maybe planting our gardens, at our first home, that sort of thing. I wanted everything that was exotic and different, everything that was new on the market. We were checking the trends to see which new petunia was going to cascade the most, that sort of thing. Well, now we realize the importance of providing native plants to fit into the ecosystem where we live. It's all about that pyramid of life, that interconnecting ecosystem where the flowers that we plant, they provide the nectar and the food for the insects and the birds and the bees, and then from there the birds feed the mammals, and the whole ecosystem is a cycle of life, and we humans are a big part of that, and it's up to us to make sure that the cycle of life, the whole ecosystem, is in balance. So at the Arboretum, we promote planting native trees and shrubs even in urban situations, in our urban gardens, because then the birds who are flying over Grey Bruce on their way north or on their way south, on their way up the peninsula, they have a place that they can stop, an oasis where they can find, there's a tree species I'm familiar with. There are flowers that I can draw nectar from, that I can lay my eggs on. And so we are promoting this cycle of life and the ecosystem where we live.
Well, I have found it really informative, and we have over the past few years been editing our gardens. The petunias, unfortunately, are no longer there or part of it, but we're bringing in the black-eyed Susans and the daisies. Daisies are the most friendliest flower. I just love daisies. That was in my wedding bouquet, so I've always had a passion for daisies. And the other plants too, a couple that I got for the Arboretum, I have no idea what they're called, but they got lots of green, and they just go everywhere with little white flowers. And so my garden is now blending better in with our 2 acres of forested lands, as opposed to the cultured garden, which you would have seen in probably in the city, now that we're out in the country. And I called it controlled chaos.
That's a good one.
Because we want the color variations, the birds and the bees coming around. Highly allergic to bees, but I keep my distance. I hear the buzz. It's all yours, buddy, and I'm back out of the way. But it's really important to see that. But we can sit on our veranda and watch our gardens and the activity in our gardens, and it's calming.
Yeah, absolutely. You've hit on a number of points there. The benefits of maintaining our balanced ecosystem so that we can continue to enjoy the benefits of nature. And yes, we don't what you've done is sounds perfect. We're not saying, like, I belong to both gardening clubs in town. I'm not saying that we can't have rhododendrons and you know, the exotic plants that we so enjoy that are aesthetically pleasing to us as well. But what we're encouraging is just a percentage of the garden to devote or include native plants. And unfortunately, we were actually discussing this at our garden club meeting last night, that some people associate the word native in front of a plant that you might see at the nursery. They associate that with being really, really aggressive. They associate it with maybe like goldenrod, which is the most aggressive native wildflower that we have. But there are many delicate, lovely, soft, well-behaved, you know, perennial type of wildflowers that we have that are native as well. And so it's a whole other field of study. Like now, many of my friends are like, oh, what native plants can we find and introduce into our gardens? Or they want to discover them out in nature where they exist and just to see them in their natural setting. So we're doing the same thing at the Arboretum with trees and shrubs. But I almost forgot, like we do have our component of wildflowers too.
Yes.
Ooh, we have a beautiful meadow at the Arboretum, because meadows and the wildlife and insects that they appeal to, and birds, are, you know, slightly different than the more forested areas. So we sort of joke that our Arboretum, it isn't just trees. It's the shrubs, the woody vines, the wildflowers. It's right from the beginning. Back in 2000, we talked about creating an ecosystem, not just a collection of trees. So that's why Brian is working so hard out there, you know, and all of the volunteers are wonderful at the Arboretum for their dedication to preserving this space, being good stewards of the land. And we always just sort of feel so grateful that the Grace Sauble Authority allow us to go to the Arboretum, put seeds in the ground, watch the native trees and shrubs and vines, and even we do start a few wildflowers and grasses, and we just feel so blessed that they allow us to go there and use that space to do that. And
well, I have seen your wildflower meadow, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I would say, I mean, it's random and it's wild, but it's stunning. You know, there's something wonderful about it, and that was starting to encourage me to get more native plants into my gardens. And we lived in 2 acres, and it's quite forested. And as soon as we moved in, my husband started planting more trees. just like, okay, we need more trees.
you can never have enough.
You can never have enough. And it's wonderful because the land was deciduous trees, and we planted all pine trees, different kinds of pines and cedars, and so now we have a cacophony of greens that are happening, and I love green. Like, green is such a calming color. One of the things that I often do, maybe to the concern of my husband, is I get out in the middle of the grass, and I have all these beautiful trees around me, and I'm looking at the trees, and I'm lying in the grass, face up, looking at the sky and the clouds and the trees, and then I hear this voice, do I need to call 911, or are you just enjoying it?
Oh, thanks for sharing that moment of your enjoyment in your yard. And I think what you've just defined or described is something that now we hear of as being called sit spots. Now, yours was a lying spot, but a place where, but it's where you choose a spot, a spot that's maybe close by so that you can visit it often, and you generally sit, but lying down is fine too, and you let your senses commune with the space around you. And so basically you're going to just like you said, sight, you're going to look at the clouds, look at the trees, look at the colors, the greens, the colors of the wildflowers that we've been mentioning. You're going to look about you to see if you can see any wildlife or birds. So sight and sound, listening for bird sounds, for example, insect sounds, the buzzing bee, which you have to be so aware of, and the sounds of the trees. One of my daughter's favorite trees is the trembling aspen. And if you're not familiar with this tree, I'll tell you, when you sit below it or you walk by it on a breezy day, you just hear the flickering of the leaves. They literally tremble. They do that, I'll just explain this, they do that because the pedicle that holds the leaf is broad. Instead of being just a little round stick, it's broad, so it catches the wind. So the leaves literally tremble. It's the most wonderful sound. Anyway, so, and then just the sound of a breeze going through any of our deciduous trees, it's just such a wonderful, familiar sound. So there's sight, sound, touch. You know, you were touching the grass, no doubt, when you were on the lawn. We can touch the bark of trees. Maybe you've chosen your spot as a log, or, you know, it could be a bench, but you're still the sense of touch. And then smell. I can't tell you how many times people have said when they're walking about the Arboretum how much they enjoy the scents that they're getting as the trees, you know, the flowering native trees, the scents waft through the Arboretum. You're walking along and you just smell it and you're like, where did that come from? Like, you seek out the source of the beautiful scent. And same with the wildflower garden, like meadow. As you walk by, you can literally smell it. So scents, and then probably the lesser sense that we're able to fulfill in our sit spot is that of taste, because we don't recommend that you just taste everything out in nature unless you're very certain what it is that you are tasting. But we do have berries, blackberries and raspberries growing along the sides of the trails at the Arboretum, as well as wild apple trees that people routinely go and will pick one and eat as they're walking along. So isn't that lovely that you know, the Arboretum and the benches that are at the Arboretum. I think we have maybe up to 9 benches spread along the 2-kilometer trail that you can, you know, create a sit spot for yourself. So yeah, sit spots is the new catch term.
I may need a bench, but probably not. I do have a hammock between two trees that have the most amazing canopies. And it's a favorite spot of my grandchildren. Oh, yeah. Like when they come, everybody has to be in the hammock. And you can, you know, a parent will go and sit in the hammock or lie in the hammock, and the next thing you know, all the kids are in it as well. They just find this as a wonderful spot. But the canopies are so amazing and so different. And just watching that, is that it not only calms your mind, but it nurtures your soul. And this is one of the things about the Arboretum as well, is it's always open. It's all, I mean, you just pull into the parking lot and you're there and away you go. And there's a number of benches so that if you're not into long walks, you've got lovely benches to sit on. Or if you're in the 2-kilometer trail, which I did, and that was a wonderful place to be, particularly during COVID, because you were out in the open. But it's a wonderful place to be anytime that you want to feel that that you're nurturing your mind and your body at the same time, just being in this wonderful environment.
Yes, and we have actually 2 sections to the Arboretum.
Yes.
And so I thought I'd mention it because you made me think of it when you said about the, the feel of the place and the walk there. And we have 6 acres, which is the, it's called the Trees of the World because it was started, it's a more mature section of the Arboretum. It was started approximately 60 years ago. So the canopy there, it's just, we feel like it's like being in a cathedral when you walk through there. The really large trees, 60 years or older. Many of them are even older. They were there for a long time. And the canopy above those trees is wonderful. And in that section, it's a more manicured section. We call it manicured. That means they cut the grass there. The other section we don't cut all the grass, but they cut the grass there, and then there is the trail and the benches, and it's you get that feeling of the maturity of the trees, and the cooling effect. Did you know that even one of our large sugar maples there, let's use that as an example, it has the effect of 5 of those little air conditioners that you can put in your window. The cooling effect of one large mature maple is equivalent to 5 of those little air conditioners for the effect of the cooling effect. And then you talked about already about the fact that, even thinking about it, I'm taking deep breaths, just thinking about being out in nature, and the fact that if we go back to our student biology, the photosynthesis, where the trees, what the huge benefit that they do in absorbing and needing the CO2, the carbon dioxide that we breathe out, and they take that carbon dioxide, bring it in and do their magic with photosynthesis and put out oxygen into the air, and so for us to then breathe. So it's just that really basic science that the trees do that is so healing and so necessary to life. It's necessary to life, but being out in nature, it has that calming effect on us. And there's more to it than that too. The essential oils that the trees give off, the phytokinins, all of the chemicals that are produced out in nature that actually benefit the immune system as well. There are benefits been proven scientifically through research to improve our immune system when we spend time in nature and heal in nature.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I was just looking at it from the beauty part of it, and certainly understanding the relationship between carbon dioxide and oxygen. And oxygen for us is life. That is essential for us as human beings. We need to have that oxygen. So I always understood that, but I didn't know there was essential oils that came from trees.
Yeah, it's like aromatherapy. Right? They take these things from nature and they put it in a bottle and have us use it in our homes. Pine, spruce,
pine, yes.
lavender, all of the many scents from biological plants. But by going out in nature, these are effused in the air around the trees and flowers and plants as well.
Is that why we just feel so good when we're outside?
Yes, I'm sure there are many complex elements at play, but those are just a couple that I've mentioned, and one, yes. So it's physical, as well as the mental and emotional feelings that we, being out in nature, evoke. I've heard statistics like 20 minutes out in a forest or treed setting can give you the boost that you need for a week of being indoors at your computer type of thing. So the more we get out in nature, the more benefit we reap from that. So yeah, there are many research papers available on this topic.
So it isn't just Tuesday morning fun, planting trees. There's a whole life cycle and benefit for our community. And I know that Owen Sound has, our Grey County has an arboretum at Grey Sauble, but there are many arboretums around the province in terms of probably doing very similar things.
Yes, that's right. Arboretums are often located near large urban centers, actually, because they provide a green space where people who are restricted to city streets or the cities, they can then go there to learn or retreat there or have their opportunity to get out and enjoy the benefits of nature. Another term that I just thought of when we were speaking was forest bathing. Oh yeah. Have you heard that term? Well, it's a Japanese art. I won't attempt to say the Japanese word for it, but it scares some people because they think if they're bathing they have to remove their clothing, and I want to assure you that's not part of it. Forest bathing is just getting out and walking in nature and taking in all of the things that we've been talking about, all the benefits of nature. And other arboretums located around the world, provide this. And in Grey Bruce, we are so lucky. We have so many beautiful spaces to explore and enjoy nature.
Well, this is one of the benefits of living in Grey County, and particularly in the Owen Sound area with the water. I have to have trees, rocks, and water. Those are my life breaths, I think, that keep me going, and that's what's important. And we have so much of that in our area. And of course, all of Grey and Bruce counties have so many natural environments that people can explore. And well, anyway, Nancy, this has been delightful. I'm getting the high sign from Dan that we're coming to the end of the program, and it's always a treat to spend time with you.
Wow. Thank you for having me. And could I just put in a plug for the tree sale?
Yes.
The tree sale at the Grey Sauble Conservation Authority is to be happening May 3rd. It's a very popular sale to, come and get your trees, to for everyone to participate in planting for the future.
Oh, that's great. And join me next time on Over Coffee.
This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details. Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
The world is on the brink of war. We'll show the world a better way forward. Captain America. Caught in a trap. You want me? Come and get me!
Captain America: Brave New World.
Canada is at a crossroads, facing an affordability crisis, strains on healthcare, and climate change. Get to know the candidates running to be your MP and represent your interests in Ottawa. Hear from